Okay, the meeting of March 28th will now come to order. So has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
I just had to do a Muppet flail when you said a meeting must come to order.
Yep. Where we gonna?
Muppets, good grief.
There's one in every crowd.
Yeah, a little wacky.
So I would like to ask whether we could, under Habitat Restoration Days, I'd like to discuss the possibility of having a restoration day maybe in the ecological preserve, which would involve talking with the county because there's lots of broom creeping into the area that's been worked on up there.
There's like a lot of broom up there right now. Vibrant yellow.
But I think it can go under number 6.
Sounds good enough.
Anybody else got anything?
Well, the only thing, and I don't know where I would put this, but I was in Colorado on my business trip / vacation, seeing family, and I would turn on the water. Then now, doesn't Colorado kind of like support like a ton of water? I mean, giving water to a lot of different states. I don't know if they still do it. They pulled back saying get your own water, but their water turns hot immediately. Like you turn it on and it's hot. Why do we not have that in California? Everybody just lets our water run out and wait till getting in showers, and it seems like we have waste so much water.
It depends on where your water heater is in relation to the faucet and whether the pipes are insulated.
Yeah.
And the kind of water heater you have.
Yeah, it might be, if it's cold enough there, they could have recirculating hot water pumps.
Maybe that's why, because of the cold, because it was so cool. I turned around, I was like, this is so
I used to do construction when I did construction in Colorado. Everyone put that in because of that fact that it's cold enough, so they would keep the hot water circulating so it's instant.
It's too bad we don't do that here.
Yeah, you're also heating water if you're not there. I don't know if there's a trade-off. For the comfort level, though, the hot water's there. I don't know. But
Well, that's good to know.
That was a trend.
It was just, I was kind of startled, like, you have hot water immediately?
Yeah, that's possible here, but the cost versus the...
We, in my previous home, we actually put one in because the plumbing was stupid. And it took enough time that if you wanted the water in the master bath, you could turn on the hot water and go away and do something and come back 10 minutes later and you'd have hot water. So what they said is that yes, it raises your utilities a little bit because you're having to spend more time heating the water, but it also saves water. So they think it was about a wash. It wasn't terribly expensive.
It keeps the pipes from
It's
freezing.
just
And
something
it keeps
I
the pipes
noticed.
from freezing, yeah.
Don't know if we'd ever talked about it before. So. Other than that, that's all.
So anything else for the agenda? Can we adopt the agenda?
Oh, sure. I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All approved?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Agenda is adopted. See the multitudes of the public out there waiting to comment.
Slowly.
High
Welcome
multitudes.
it. Just don't welcome it. We're cool.
Okay, approval of the minutes.
The one thing is the committee members absent because Vladimirov is no longer on our committee because so she shouldn't actually be there as an absentee.
Well, as it turns out, her letter that she sent us, quote unquote, saying fond farewells, didn't actually say the word resign. And so the city clerk did not want to take her off the rolls
Is that why?
until this meeting where will be replaced by a new person.
Okay. That was
Have
the
we
only
even
thing I
seen
kinda
the letter?
Yeah, it was sent to all of us
Oh, okay.
2 months ago.
Email.
I missed it.
Darn.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to look.
Yeah.
Essentially, she said she was opting to not renew for another term. And the technicality of the way this works is that she is still on the committee until someone is seated that takes her place.
Okay.
So
Which would be Carly, who was appointed.
I think you mean Claire.
Claire.
Um,
Claire?
w-
Claire.
Ingrid and I had a long discussion with the city attorney about whose seat was whose and who was being sworn in when. And so we hope that this will be the only really confusing month, and next month everybody new will be seated and all of the no longer participating people will be officially removed. And so it's been a little confusing this month, but
Okay.
it's on its way to being sorted out.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Is there anything else on the minutes?
I don't think so.
I wasn't here, but I did watch.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything. I was trying to double check it against my notes from last meeting, and I couldn't find them, so very frustrated, but I'll just have to say it was good.
Have we heard back from Kevin about a joint committee to talk about the things that he brought up?
I have not.
Okay. Looks good to me, the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll
Yes.
make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's proceed. Okay, so we sent a specific letter to the Flowercraft Nursery on Bayshore. And this one, I believe Bob and Adrian wrote, and I tweaked it a little bit. And we're going to send this out to the whole list, is that right?
Yeah, so we have a couple slides here for you to look at. So this is the kind of zoomed in so you can actually read the text. Bob, if you want to show them the next one, what it actually looks like on letterhead with the table. And then the third slide we have is the list of nurseries. So you can see a few there at the top that we are not planning to send it to. And if there's anyone else on this list that you don't think we should be sending it to, you can certainly let us know that. But otherwise, this is the list that we would send it to. And then if we can jump back to the text, you can maybe could tell that the full letter on letterhead, it was very tough to squeeze in all on one. So my suggestions to cut a couple things to help squeeze it in are what you can see there, suggested strikeout in red.
So that was a revision of the one you sent back to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't fitting and we were shrinking it and anyway,
Did you try putting it in 11-point font?
It already is, and I already have margins that are, I think the bottom margin is like 0.3 or something. It's really pushing it, and you
All
can
right.
see that one sentence pushes that one word onto another line, and it was...
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
good. I think it was.
Yeah.
It's well done.
Wait, was there what part didn't you want out?
Oh, I just kind of like that sentence about we urge you to stock them and tell your customers about them
I
because...
mean, to not stock them.
No, this is where she says the
Oh, the
enclosed
endorsement.
brochure suggests
The native
attractive native
alternatives.
alternatives.
Yeah, we had also fielded the idea of asking them to put up the letter or the invasive species
I heard, yeah, you said that.
pamphlet. Pardon?
Yeah, I heard you say that when I was watching it earlier today.
Yeah, so we had fielded that idea, and that didn't make it into the letter. So, of course, that's contrary to our other problem of trying to condense it. So I'm not sure.
It says a list of alternatives. I do get the urging to stock.
Yeah, I mean, that your initial reaction, Megan, was
Yeah.
kind of one of the reasons why that was what I suggested to cut, was because I thought
It does. It is. Yeah, you kind of.
it's kind of a do this, don't do that, and
Oh,
if you're reading quickly, it could get a little confusing. So it seemed
it's
like
okay.
Yeah. And you already said it's endangered elsewhere, so you don't need. It's like
You don't need
In fact,
endangered.
where it says it's again actually says federally listed, so it makes it more. I don't know.
How about the enclosed brochure suggests attractive native alternatives you may wish to stock?
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, we could do that. Just put a phrase, and that won't.
Yeah, that won't wrap to the next line.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Good
I like
job.
that.
And actually, I would.
In fact, you can buy them here at Brisbane. No, just kidding.
And then I know it'll make it cost us a little bit more with the postage, but it would be really nice to put in 2 brochures and have one of them with a sticky note on it that says, please post for your customers.
That's a good idea.
That works for me.
And a handwritten sticky note is like, whoa, people will do it. I can
I like
write
that
the
idea.
sticky notes if you want.
Could we do that?
You don't want me to. I have really bad.
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
Great.
I like
I mean, it's
We might have to have everybody writing Post-it notes at our CAP subcommittee next week, but I think we can.
That's fine.
I think we can handle it.
Yeah, I just think that, and that gives it sort of a personal touch as well. That,
I like that.
you know, and if you send 2 brochures, they're less likely to get lost. Both of them lost.
Are we good?
Yeah, if you go back to the list of nurseries, Paxton Gate doesn't really sell plants. At least last time I was in there, they don't.
They used to. They used to have a thing out in the back.
Oh, okay.
Do I have that anymore?
Okay, it's been a while since I've been in there, so
Yeah, it's been
They
a
have
while.
a few in the back, yeah.
they do. Okay, they used to have just like little air plants that you would put in your
A lot of air plants.
yeah.
Do other things.
And the no, is that because we already know, like, Flora Glove would never.
No, Flora Grub is not on the no list.
Oh, it says no, letter to
No,
be sent.
no,
Oh,
no,
Flora is
again.
not on it.
Carnivorous
Yeah.
plants, ambious plants.
And what's the reason that they're on this
Succulents.
list? I must have missed
The
that.
carnivorous plants, this got sorted by the letter to be sent yes or no, but when I looked it up, if you look at 12-511 San Mateo Road, there's already 2 more going to 12-511 San Mateo Road.
Oh, never mind.
And
Yeah.
then those
3 more.
2 of the World's Rare and the
Four.
Yerba Buena had a different phone number.
Okay.
The phone number's left off, so if they had the same phone number and the same address, I didn't think they needed to. But if they had a
Because
different,
actually that 12-5-11 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
yeah, if you're familiar with 92, there's a lot of different buildings, so if they had different phone
cooperative.
numbers, I,
Oh, it's a co-op. Okay.
because
gotcha.
I assumed with different phone numbers it'd be the same owner, but that one had.
Okay.
I was just going through and writing down a list and then going back because,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I came up with it. It made more sense with the phone number column and not sorted with all the no's on top.
Gotcha.
And there was no nurseries down further than Millbrae that we think people. Okay,
I just
that's fine.
drew a line for
Alright.
where Brisbane folks might travel for a nursery.
I think you can also leave off the Home Depot on 2 Colma Boulevard. The Pro Store doesn't have any plants. I didn't know what it means, garden center at Home Depot. There's no nursery at the Pro Store.
There
It's not the
isn't?
Pro Store. That's the across the street from the Pro Store. Is
The regular
Home
one.
Depot.
It's the other one that's up the hill, kind of.
Okay, yes, you're right.
The other
FedEx.
one,
I got myself confused.
and the other Home Depot is on Westlake, and they also have.
Yeah, they do. Yes, that's
And
correct.
on the letter for Bay natives, I think that we should send it, but I think we should put a note and say this is what we sent to the other nurseries, but you may want to post a brochure for your clients.
That's what I didn't put a no because I thought
Yeah,
they might
I
get
agree
kicked out of
with
the
you.
brochure.
But I think we should make a little personal note on the letter telling them why we're sending them a letter, knowing that they don't sell any of the invasive.
Thank you for not selling invasive. However, here, you might want to post this.
Yeah,
I can put
And if you
that
want
on
more
next
brochures,
week
let us
when
know.
I sign them all.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect.
Pacific Nurseries is also wholesale, but we should go ahead and send them something.
Absolutely, because they
Yeah.
have all kinds of invasives growing on their property.
Yeah,
Which one?
Pacific Nurseries.
in
They have-
Colma on Hillside.
Yeah, they're the ones who really brought a lot of pampas grass to the area.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, back in the 70s, early 70s when it was an ornamental.
All right. Cool.
So that's
Maybe they've gotten the lesson though, because when I looked on their webpage, they had their featured plants, and all their featured plants
That's what you said.
were.
yeah,
quite-
they don't sell it anymore, but it's all over their property.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they had all their plants because we used to go there when I was a contractor, but
No, I mean
Now
it
they-
escaped and it's all
Yeah.
over their property and all downwind of them.
yeah, so maybe they've learned since then, but the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah, so to speak. Okay, that's excellent.
Good job. Thank you. I like the
Thank you.
table a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to talk about this, Michelle? You want me to? The Habitat Restoration Subcommittee.
Bob?
Okay, so we had a meeting with the Parks and Rec subcommittee members, and we decided for Earth Day just to go back to Monarch and Mission Blue site, since that's kind of a tradition. Go ahead.
But I just want to make a clarification there. We were also going to not just do that part, but do up above, across Mission Blue Drive, where all that broom is right there.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
And-
good.
And then,
And I've been kind of scoping that out, you know, because the wall is there. But if you walk up just a little ways, it's very easy to go around the wall.
okay. And then we switched the time from 10 to 1 to 9:30 to 12:30 for the year was the decision. And then the summer habitat was the Crocker Recreational Trail, and we haven't done a specific site plan for that yet, but that was involving some invasive removals and some litter pickup and kind of restorative around that rec trail before the paving takes place, and then the coastal cleanup back to the lagoon. And there was discussion about moving to some other sites, but they weren't as the Harney Way or the off ramp, which is Caltrans. So we're going to put in a service request to Caltrans to see if they'll take care of it, because that's A, not in our jurisdiction, and B, they have a program to handle litter. So I'm working on some T-shirt designs, and then
We didn't decide to go with the gloves?
Yeah, that was my question.
the T-shirts are popular, it seems. So we'll do we don't have the
Really?
quantity figured out, so I don't think we're going to shine the gloves. It seemed to be a combo that T-shirts for those who want them and gloves available.
Okay.
And we're kind of blending. We're moving
Because we
forward.
have 2 sponsors instead of 1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because South San Francisco Scavengers felt left out that Ecology was sponsoring everything, and so they would like to sponsor too.
Perfect.
So
We like that.
um, we, right? Is that what we discussed about? I was going to ask you about gloves because I had it on my notes because we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think didn't somebody said that the last the planting day the gloves went like hotcakes.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So I thought we were going to
Of course,
do
we were
both.
planting,
or-
but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't put the order in yet, so that was what we discussed, was doing both T-shirts and
Okay, great.
some gloves. So
Okay.
I don't have the hard figures for you yet because,
If people still want the T-shirts, that's great for them.
yeah. So maybe we'll do less T-shirts and a few gloves. And
Oh.
We should definitely do gloves and have people, bring their gloves back the next time.
Yeah.
They were very popular, and I think we needed more sizes, small, medium, large, because we had,
For February, we had small, medium, large, extra large, but what we really needed was more medium.
mediums.
And I think we probably didn't need as many extra large.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medium and large were really
Popular.
the ones most people needed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And are we going to get those imprinted, or are they just going to be generic?
yeah, we didn't look into imprinting gloves. That's
I mean, are they being donated by South San Francisco Scavenger? Or is there something they can do to logo them? Or
I can check into that tomorrow. I didn't. I
if they want to, they might want to.
They are donating money for us to make arrangements for T-shirts and gloves. That's my understanding is the way it's always been, but the gloves are a new addition.
Right.
We have not looked into having them imprinted. Yeah, we get
Yeah,
the.
that-
Yeah.
T-shirts are standard item, and back before I had this job, when you try to deviate and get your T-shirt printed on the sleeve, and the price goes way up. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
imagine setting a glove on a printing press.
No.
Might be
I mean,
cost-
Yeah, I
those-
looked
they
at
do
them and
those
they
gloves
seemed
all the
pretty
time.
reasonable. I kind of did a little like pocket research.
Yeah, well, I haven't looked, so I'll check it in tomorrow. We'll see.
Okay. It
I'm
may be
not-
too late to get gloves
Yeah.
printed.
T-shirts are pretty standard, and
Yeah.
that's been set up. So
The gloves are now too. I mean, we had hundreds of them at AAA,
okay, I haven't.
but I don't know where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having trouble with that, let me know, and I'll put you in touch with the vendor we used.
So I didn't go to that subcommittee meeting, but I was hoping that we could get more feedback or conversation from the committee about the Crocker Trail, like what the idea was, what parts, is it more trash or where,
Well,
invasives?
it came up as a suggestion for the summer one because we're not going to work in Firth or in Costaños.
This year, but
Yeah. And so this came up as a suggestion for the summer one or Quarry Road. but when we talked about it, the other people at the committee meeting, Sharon and Bonnie, and they loved the idea of doing the Crocker Trail. And my thought on it, when I suggested that as a potential site, was to primarily on the west side of the trail, there's that long area that goes from South Hill Drive all the way back to the end of Guadalupe Valley that has a lot of invasives along there, in particular broom, which I personally helped pull a whole bunch of it, and now I can't hardly walk. But anyway, I digress. So, and then along there, there's also a V ditch, creek area that could, be cleared out. There's still frogs up at the end of it and stuff like that. So that was really the area I was thinking of.
That's an earthen ditch there.
Is it an earthen
I know,
ditch
I
or
don't
is there a
know.
concrete V ditch under it?
I don't know.
Who can tell? I think there's a concrete V ditch under there somewhere, but I don't know. They were very popular when they built all those drainage channels.
Yeah. So we would imagine setting up like where at Quarry Road and South Hill, and then having people kind of walk back.
Well, yeah, maybe Expeditors would let us use their parking lot.
Maybe on the weekend. That's
Yeah.
And then if people come late, we'd have to sign it. Work's happening. Come down the trail.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That was my thought, but I'm certainly open to other thoughts along there. But that's an area that needs a lot of work. Has a lot of people throw garbage down from South Hill Drive and also along the trail, and some of the businesses along there actually use a leaf blower and blow their garbage out of their parking lot and into the trail. Yeah. So that was the suggestion, that the area that, and then as far around as we can work, it depends how many people come. I haven't really scoped out the other side of the trail. I've only scoped out that part of the trail.
And I was curious, the rest of the committee, that sounds like.
But then Glenn brought up, I saw her on Sunday up there pulling with her hands instead of a weed wrench.
I'm just talking about the area. It's it's the ridge above Buckeye Canyon, and some time ago there was a lot of restoration done up there. I know I worked on it, you worked on it, lots of people worked on it, and it's still being worked on, but it's not being kept up with. And once again, it's being reinfested with broom. That is in the Fish and Wildlife Service administered ecological preserve, so I assume we'd have to get permission to do it. And it's also fairly steep, but I'm just wondering, would it be possible for us to do a habitat restoration day up there at some point? Maybe, I don't know how long these approvals would take, but I would like to see us do something in an area that's ecologically significant. Monarch and Mission Blue is. The Crocker Trail is not, although
It could be, but it would require a lot more work than what we.
yeah, you'd have to plant it,
Yeah.
I imagine, after you remove the invasive. So I was just thinking it would be a shame to let that restored hillside get taken over again. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
And when we had the meeting, I have to say that the amount of broom that's blooming right now is freaking overwhelming.
Yeah,
It's
bad
like
this year.
After the drought and then the rain, and it's just like.
Well, definitely now's the time to go after it then, to hit back that seed bank.
And plus they're just, because of all the rain, they're easy to pull out, because I
Yeah.
put one out today, just
Yeah.
walking around, I'm like.
Yeah, they're
You know,
popping
really,
out
you just
pretty
pulled-
quick.
I mean, I pulled out one this big, and I didn't even have gloves. I felt like getting gloves and just going along, but I didn't have that much time this time.
Yeah, but in a week or two, 3 weeks, it's
gonna
not
be-
going to be easy anymore because
Yeah, so it's probably not, that's probably not ideal for summer,
yeah.
but.
And that we have the same
Maybe
problem.
Next spring, not that I'd hate to wait that long, but next spring after the rain, like this one where we're doing the Monarch Mission, we may do the 21st or the one in April to do that location. It does nice when it just pulls right out.
Well, maybe. Okay, I haven't thought this through, so maybe it's a bad idea. But what if we did, an Earth Day one and the coastal cleanup, but that our third one was earlier in the year, like maybe even before Earth Day, so that we can get stuff out before it goes to seed, like really early in the year, like now. And this would have to be next year's plan to do the first one in like March.
Broom won't go to seed right away, but it will get hard to pull out by summer.
Yeah.
I was walking the Crocker Park today, and I swear I heard the broom pods popping.
They may be.
Might've been
Some of
some
them
old
may be
ones.
because it was hot today.
They were
Yeah,
Bug you.
they're,
And then, like I said, I was wrong this year in February, but if you do it too early and it's rainy, you get not as good of a turnout.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if it was like this tiny time of year, like towards the end of March, I just want to throw that out there and we can think about it. Because getting back that seed bank is really, really important. Because that's like half your battle.
Well, the thing is, okay, so I guess the hard part is we try to space them out so we have good
Yeah.
attendance and we,
That's
give
true.
people time to heal in between.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
But-
good work with Rec and Park too.
I'll just bring my
Yeah.
massage.
Yeah, really.
I'll bring my massage kit.
So, but I agree. And if we're going to go after broom, the earlier we go after it in the year, the better. Right now is a really,
Yeah.
Really good time.
yeah, except the amount that there is unbelievably overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, we could think about it. We could consider trying it next year. See if a month apart is too close for people in the spring. I just want to consider it.
Also, we need to check with the county.
Yeah.
To see whether they would permit a workday.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be hard for them to say no, right? So, but we could ask ahead of time. Yeah.
If we do that slope that Glenn was talking about, we would have to do it earlier because they would, I'm pretty sure they would want us to do it before the viola came out.
Yeah.
And the viola's out now.
Oh, I know it's out. That would be really early though. The viola was up last month. It was up in February.
Yeah. It came up early this year, pretty early.
Yep, climate change.
It's so hard to.
Why don't I check with Ramona and then
Mm-hmm.
come back next meeting with a report on either, viability or an ulterior site that she would like help with.
Sure.
If that's
yeah.
not going to work. Because as far as the permit, I imagine if she's on board, that wouldn't be the delay wouldn't be the timing of someone saying you have the okay. It would be making sure that she thought it was a good idea. So I'll check with her for some options and report back at the next meeting
That would be great.
with a couple potentials, and then that'll give time to do a site visit too on the trail, and I'll do a report back with more detailed results.
Okay,
Okay, great. Thanks.
super.
Oh, when you're talking with her, also, on Sunday when I was hiking, there were some people who were hiking with the dog, without the leash on it. And I said, oh, you're not actually supposed to have dogs up here. Yes, we can. There's a sign. We'll put the leash on. And I'm like, well, no, you're not supposed to have dogs up here. And so when I went down, I looked at the sign, and the sign at the bottom of the trail at Buckeye says dogs on a leash. That's for the fish and game land. Once you cross over into county park land, dogs are not allowed, according to what I saw up at the county park. So if that's a regularly used trail where it crosses into county parkland, they might want to put a sign that says no dogs allowed beyond this point.
I
So
didn't
I
realize it did cross. Does it?
Buckeye? Upper Buckeye is in county
Okay.
land. Lower Buckeye is fish and game. Same thing with Owl Canyon. So I don't know. You might want to ask Ramona about that if you're going to call her anyway.
It'd be a good idea to discourage dogs because they carry seeds in their coats.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot of the invasives start right at the trail side. So it's people's boots, it's their clothes, it's their dogs,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I might make those two separate messages just to move forward, but I'll
Okay.
take note of that.
Thanks, Mom. She likes you.
And we're also keeping open the idea of having a planting day, although I guess we can talk about that. We'll probably put it on the calendar to talk about it at, later in the year if we did a planting day during the winter sometime.
Yeah. That was really fun having a planting day.
Well, if we are going to do Crocker Trail, probably there should be some provision for replanting it afterwards. Because it's so invasive, there's hardly anything native left there, is there?
No, not much.
I sure didn't see any, so it probably should be replanted.
And so remember what the challenge was, it started raining after, so that was good, but watering natives enough, and it would be ideal to plant at the start of the rainy season or...
Oh,
Yeah, I
right.
think we should do it earlier. I know I pushed for a little bit later this time, but it worked out. But I think that it felt kind of dicey there, so I think we should do it earlier next year.
It depends. It depends where we plant. Too.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then in Crocker, that's hard. That would be really hard for us to water if it doesn't rain.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a water truck at all?
We must. What are they using to water the trees?
I know Davy Tree was doing that, wasn't it? Wasn't there water truck?
Yeah, I mean, that's a cost, though.
Yeah. So the city doesn't own its own water truck, huh?
I think we have a little one, but that's still a cost, it's
Yeah,
not-
there's still a cost, of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That section could actually be watered from up above along South Hill Drive.
Yeah, and that...
Go along with the fire truck. They need practice, right? Kidding. I'm kidding.
I like it.
We'll look at that. Bob, you're doing reconnaissance, right?
Yeah, I think I'll scope out a few sites.
Great, thank you. We ready to proceed, committee?
Yeah, one thing just about the Crocker Trail, one thing that was a huge disappointment to me, I got a photograph from somebody where, along Cypress, along the, I guess it's the linen building now, where they have a linen washing service. They completely weed whacked to the ground the whole length of that ditch where we had the habitat going for the frogs.
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm kind of like, and I wrote and asked about it, and I guess Ariel said, oh, well, we don't have the resources to manage that area anymore, so they can do what they want. This was after they had already, wrecked it to fix their drainage or whatever. And it just broke my heart because that was an incredible frog habitat. And so I really think that we should kind of like readopt that and not let the property owner just wholesale, cut it to the ground again. I mean, right back where we were 10 years ago.
Oh,
And it
that's
just broke my heart.
And I had heard that happen, but I wasn't involved at all when I know it started in unfortunate circumstance when the city, that part I know, the city weed whacked it, right? And then was back when Ken McIntyre was very involved and worked out an arrangement where Mountain Watch was doing all any maintenance that was needed, and then trying to restore the habitat. So was it in agreement with that property owner? It's on their property, I guess, huh?
I don't know exactly where it stands right now because I wasn't paying attention
Directly
to that.
involved.
So, but I will find out, at least from from Mountain Watch's point of view, because
too bad.
I know that they had torn up a lot of it because they were repairing that wall and extending their concrete or doing something. But just to go and weed whack it all the way down to the ground like that, like it is now,
Oh, that's
was just horrifying. when that was, huge chorus frog population there. So I need to find out exactly what's going on from Mountain Watch's side, and then, what level does the city want to participate in, maintaining a habitat instead of scorched earth.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't know all the background. I wasn't.
No, I don't know a lot,
sort of.
parts of it. I mean, parts of it I know, parts of it I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the recent history.
Yeah, I know only a little bit about it myself. Not enough that I want to speak up and muddy the waters.
Okay. Well, I'll report back at the next meeting what I find out.
What time frame are you talking that it got whacked down recently?
Like this past week? To the ground?
Yeah, I just was curious.
Yeah. No, I got the photograph from my friend Lori Graham, who picks up garbage along the trail. And she said, "What's up with this?" She's the one who reported them polluting the area with the stuff that comes out of their vents, all their lint and everything.
That was such a nice little oasis. What a shame.
I know. I cried when I saw the picture, and I just thought, what the hell happened here? So, we make progress and then we backslide, and we make progress and then we backslide.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not to bring it up, but our own water garden out here, our rain garden at City Hall, needs some serious work. It's full of weeds, like invasive weeds, like bristly ox tongue and other things like that. And, the city and the grant was like, $250,000 to do that garden. $240,000, I think, was the price tag on it. And we, and now how many years later, and you can't tell it's a bioswale, you can't see the engineering underneath it. All you see is that, wow, they're letting bristly ox tongue and other things grow in the rain garden. So, we should do some work there too. And I don't really know how to approach that. I know it's hardly open space and ecology, but that was touted as an example all across the county of like, wow, awesome, and now, yeah, it's not been maintained. So if we take projects on, they kind of need to continue to be shepherded.
Yeah. There's rats living underneath the bridge, I can tell you that.
Which bridge?
The bridge in the rain garden.
Oh.
Even with the cats that hang around.
Oh, yeah. I know, because my dog goes crazy every time we go through there.
Are you sure it's not about the cats?
No, she doesn't care about cats. She only has one thing on her mind,
Rats.
and that's killing rats.
By the way, speaking of rats, Carolyn Chung sent out an announcement on Nextdoor.
Yeah.
Somebody in town found a red-tailed hawk
Yep.
that
Saw
was
that.
either dying or dead, and it was
Rat
taken
poisoning.
to, I think, Wild Care in San Rafael, and they figured it was rat poison. So somebody in town is using it, and I just wonder if we've ever communicated with people in the industrial park about rat poison. We did talk to Billy.
Yeah, Brisbane Hardware.
This is a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure he's quit carrying it. I haven't checked.
But
But
Lowe's isn't going to quit carrying it.
Hmm?
Lowe's won't quit carrying it.
No, they won't. I
But
think
we did publicize it, and so maybe we should. I asked Carolyn if she would run that announcement on Nextdoor periodically, but I doubt if the commercial residents of Brisbane read that. So maybe we should figure out some way to publicize to them.
Yeah, when I walk around Crocker, I see those bait stations all over the place. The rat bait stations.
I wouldn't know what one looked like.
So the hawk, they think, ate the rat, then died.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about that rat poison is that the animal that eats the poison, the rat, can still be alive
Yeah.
before the bird eats it.
Yeah.
And then birds can be killed by it. Something like 76% of all the hawks in California have rat poison in them. So a lot of them don't die immediately, but
Suffer.
Some of them do, and that stuff also kills. Well, it can kill any predator that eats a poison rat. So we should try to figure out some strategy to get the word out and ask people not to use it.
And you think it's commercial properties mostly?
I have no idea,
Couldn't say.
where. I'm just saying that I don't think we ever talk to commercial property owners about rat poison.
And Glenn has a good point. We've focused a lot on residential, but I don't think we've ever really reached out to the commercial properties. And like I said, I see bait stations all over the place around the commercial properties in Crocker. So
And it
there
is
we
more
are.
likely because the hawks would be more likely to use that as their foraging ground because they live in those tall eucalyptus trees around the industrial park.
Yeah, well, we've got the weekly, got a couple resources, the weekly update.
Is there any,
Sure if that-
any way to make its use illegal? The second generation rat poison stuff? I forget what it's called.
The trade name is Warfarin, I think. It's the blood thinning rat poison, and from all accounts, it's really a horrible way for an animal to die, even a rat. So
Can we make its use illegal?
we talked about an ordinance a few years ago. I had my students do a project on it, and they came and and made a
Presented, I
presentation
remember.
to the committee, and I think we talked about an ordinance, and I don't remember why we decided not to do it, but maybe we should consider one.
last I heard, and this is a couple years out of date, I think, is it's being held up in the courts.
The rat poisoning.
Yeah, they tried to ban it, and
In California, I think.
yeah, I thought maybe, and the manufacturer, whoever it was, is pushing back and countersuing, and
Yeah, they are.
I really think that we should try for ordinance banning it.
I think it's hard to do it at city level because it's difficult to enforce.
yeah.
Well, no, it's not that difficult to enforce. If you see the bait stations out,
Guess what?
it's not that difficult to enforce.
But how do you know what kind of poison is in the bait station?
You just look and ask, I mean, we have other ordinances that are hard to enforce, but the fact that there's an ordinance means that people are aware of it and you can talk to them about it and say, no, you can't do it. There's a law against it. Okay?
And stop it.
And
And I
with
think when we
education.
May I suggest
look at
that I know Lisa Owens Vianney. She started an organization called Raptors Are the Solution Rats, specifically to address this problem, and she has been keeping up with and pushing for the ordinance, and she's been speaking all over the state. So why don't I talk to her and find out what's going on with the statewide law
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
Cool.
idea.
and see what she suggests as far as an ordinance.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it at the next meeting. Does that sound all right?
because we do have extenuating circumstances in that we live in the middle of an endangered species habitat.
Right, but since the hawks aren't endangered, I'm not sure that would do it. I think we should prohibit the stuff. I would like to see it done at the state level, but let me see where the lawsuit is and what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. And I was going to say, we can also talk to the council liaisons and see what they're.
Yeah, are we
Respond.
keeping a list of stuff for the council liaisons? Could we put this on it?
Well, we've got a work plan. If there are any particular pet projects, your thing that you want to see done.
Well, this is just a question.
Yeah.
Could we put this on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're all in agreement on that, right?
Yeah.
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 I would like to do something. I'm not quite sure what. I'm kind of interested to hear back from Glenn's.
We could also,
That's
one thing I think we should do, ordinance or no ordinance, is put an article in the
Luminary.
luminary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think particularly you're right. I think we had one in the Star or City News or something a while back. I
Gotta keep-
thought.
Yeah.
But definitely.
I believe it was just in the city newsletter last
Yeah.
weekend. Caroline and I
Yeah.
talked about it, and she put that there, and I posted it on Nextdoor. But
Oh.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we did something a couple years ago when the Warfarin first hit the
did.
market, but
Yeah, but that's
We did.
Yeah.
after the students came.
But I mean, in terms of like news education.
Yeah, but
blitz,
obviously-
we need to redo it.
Yeah.
But I think my point was that I don't think we really hit the commercial sector that time. I think it was just in like the city news or something. And I think we really need to push it, try to reach out to the businesses.
So do you want one of us to write an article for the Luminary, or?
Maybe the rats woman would. She probably has an article she could
probably has.
spin
She's
out.
also got a full-time job in the daytime, but.
But
uh,
she may
probably
already
already
have an
has
article we could
articles.
glean
Might.
from,
Yeah.
Yeah, she might have something she can just reprint for us.
or we could at least
Copy
glean the
and paste.
information from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us what you have, or we could rerun what was in the city, the weekly website update.
Okay. I can send you a link to the website, too.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could just reprint what was in last Friday's.
It was actually a reprint from 2016.
See, that's
there
what
you
I
go.
was thinking, is that this is the second time we've...
Now let's
Great.
just get it in the Luminary and we'll be good.
Yeah.
And ask about an ordinance. If we can make marijuana illegal in certain areas, we can make rat poison illegal in certain areas, right?
Are we ready to move along? Trash. So I have another suggestion about trash after we talk about this. I like this.
I did too. I thought it was cute.
So this has come up in several meetings, and I think it was last month we requested, someone had requested to put it on the agenda. So here it is. I only went looking a little bit to, find some pictures to put on here, and I found that San Mateo County has this Adopt a Block program for their unincorporated areas. I cannot tell how long it has been around or if anyone is actually doing it. It seems like it might be a rather new thing that has not yet been well communicated, but I'm going to try to see if I can get any info from the county on that. And there are different, most people are probably familiar with AdoptAHighway. It's pretty prevalent. I think that Darth Vader picture is in Virginia. The highway was, or somewhere like that. Someone decided to adopt a highway, called themselves Darth Vader.
There she is.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
You must be Claire.
Hi.
Hi.
Come take a seat,
You're
Claire.
welcome to take a seat. And we had just started this agenda item, so you can see on your screen here. I don't know. That's not a bad suggestion. We had an item on the agenda to do introductions at the beginning, and we skipped over it because everybody
Already knows
that was
each
here at
other.
that time knew each other.
We
But
already know each other.
it might be a nice idea to kind of back up to that item, and then we can come back and start this trash item over after we do introductions. Sound okay?
Absolutely.
Wake up, Barb.
Welcome. We're really glad to have you.
Yep.
Could you maybe introduce yourself to us and to
Does
the
the-
public by saying a few words about yourself?
Does the committee want to go first?
Yeah, I was gonna say we
Yeah.
go first.
Yeah,
Go
it's-
And then you
Easier.
need to speak into the microphone when you do.
Yeah.
Why don't you start, Glenn?
So hi,
Glenn?
I'm Glenn. I've been on this committee for a really long time, 10 years.
And please do continue to speak into your
Oh,
mics.
sorry. I teach at San Francisco State in the Environmental Studies program and fell in love with Brisbane and its wild spaces and got involved as a volunteer working on French broom removal on San Bruno Mountain, and then saw a sign for this committee and decided I would join, and here I still am.
Yeah, I'm Glenn's chair, and I'm Barbie Ebel. I'm currently vice chair. Kind of a lifelong environmentalist from being the captain of the recycling team in like second grade or something. I don't remember. Early. And been on this committee for many years and looking forward to doing more stuff. There's Environmentalism is an endless pit of to-dos. But we keep chugging along because we love our earth.
Exactly.
So I'm Michelle Salmon, and Claire, I heard your interview when you interviewed for Open Space and Ecology. I sort of dashed in and so I grew up here in Brisbane. I've lived here all my life. My mom grew up here in Brisbane, and so my love of the mountain and the open spaces runs really deep. And so I got asked to be on the Open Space and Ecology Committee by Ray Miller. He sort of said, "Michelle, you need to do this." So I guess it's been 6 years that I've been on the. Hard to believe it's been 6 years, but it's been 6 years because my first term was a 2-year term. So I was took a term that someone else had resigned. So that's about it. I mean, there's so much more, but
Yeah, we'll start slow.
yeah.
My name's Meg Ankenbrook, and I've been on, this is my second session through, so it's been 2 years, so just going on my third. So fairly new to this group. So, and again, I've always been kind of a conservationist and very passionate about our mountain and saving our mountain and everything else that we do with the Baylands and having our voice in really conserving in this town because it's such a special place and we can really make a big difference. So, yeah.
I'm Claire. I grew up in San Francisco and I went to Boston for school, and when I moved back here, I moved to Brisbane, and I've been here for a little over, well, I was in other places before I moved back to the Bay Area, but then now I've been in Brisbane for about a year and a little over a year, maybe almost 2 years, and I am just kind of in love with how beautiful it is here and the kind of charming small town feel, and I am excited to give back and kind of get more involved.
Awesome. Welcome. Great. Well, we're really happy to have you.
Welcome, Claire.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's not you.
Now let's talk trash. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
You're so bad.
So I like the adopt-a-block idea.
Oh, you guys going to introduce themselves too?
Yeah.
I don't want to know who you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. We're going to talk trash about you guys. No, I'm kidding.
So, the rest of you know us. Claire, we're your staff. I'm Karen Kinzer. I'm the Deputy Director in the Public Works Department. OSEC has kind of come under the Public Works umbrella with staffing changes, so my background is not as much environmental science, but a lot of capital projects and getting things built.
Right. And my name's Adrian Etherton. I'm the Sustainability Management Analyst for the city, and I have been with the city for all of, 5 months or so now, I guess, maybe almost 6. I started in November. My background actually isn't environmentalism either. I have an industrial engineering degree from University of Illinois, where I grew up. I've been in the Bay Area for about 10 years and currently live in Half Moon Bay. And prior to this was the executive director of a grassroots nonprofit called Sustainable San Mateo County, and kind of came into this work more through the green building and energy efficiency and renewable energy side of things. So, yeah.
My name's Bob Sage. I been with Brisbane for 5 years in the Public Works Department, but sitting in on the committee for a year and a half. And interestingly, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but when I went to college, they didn't offer an environmental studies minor, and I was so disappointed. In the year after I graduated, they announced that they were starting a program. So then I wasn't involved at all until there was a vacancy on the staff side, so it's kind of neat to get back there after a pretty long absence. So that's it.
Yeah.
Now we can talk.
Okay, now let's talk trash. Everybody, turn off your microphones.
No. So I kind of like I know adopt-a-block is cool, but I kind of like this down at the bottom where it says adopt a spot, because in Brisbane, blocks are kind of a weird thing.
Oh, yeah.
Not exactly
We don't really have one.
square, but adopt a spot. I mean, that kind of speaks to me more than adopt a block, because we have spots
Yeah.
that need attention.
And we can show kind of like what they did too, all the different areas and the tundra and everything that we have here.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that too. I wonder if we could do like a map showing trash hotspots or something.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that exists as part of our requirements for our NIPD's municipal regional permit. That we had to do audits of trash hotspots, they actually call them. So
Yeah, there's a lot of, as I've learned picking up garbage with Lori Graham, there's a lot of hidden garbage. Garbage that's been dumped over time and then gets kind of covered and muddy and buried and you start digging in it and there's a lot.
So Karen, how many hotspots would you estimate that there are, and are they suitable places for volunteers to work?
yeah, that's what I was thinking as I was saying that some of them are along roadways. A lot of trash gets thrown out from cars.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many there are. I'd have to get that and report back. But we could take that map and some of the areas that you guys have pointed out as particular problems and start a map of, offer the areas up for adoption.
It's a horrible question, but if we were to do something like this, would we have to get people to sign a waiver of liability in case they got stuck with a needle or something like that?
That's a good question. I don't think we've looked that far into it, but we want to know what you thought of the idea and just kind of structure it, but I'm sure we could. When we did adopt a storm drain, and I don't know if that's still active, but
I have my rake.
okay, a rake. Did you have to sign a waiver?
I don't remember. I'm on my second rake. The first one wore out. So I really don't remember. Actually, I'm on my second drain, too.
It'd be nice to have a list and let us look at it and try to figure out which areas were suitable for people to sign up for.
Yeah, I mean, we can, I can try to find out who is running this program at the county and talk with them about what kind of, legal requirements or, learn a little bit more about how they set the program up, and we can use that as kind of a starting place to see what kind of resources we would need and what would be required of volunteers and all of that.
Great. I had another idea about trash. The education subcommittee has not met yet, and this is really something that the education committee should have talked about, but I'm just going to bring it up now. And that is, I was thinking, just looking at the amount of plastic trash around, I was wondering if we could make some posters showing, say, 2 photographs, one of a piece of plastic trash, shouldn't be hard to find a suitable photo subject, and the other showing, I don't know, something like a sea turtle ingesting a plastic bag, or a picture of an albatross, a dead albatross with its stomach cavity full of plastic, something like that, and a request that people not throw trash on the ground and post posters at various places. I wonder if we could even get a couple posted at the quarry, because I'm pretty sure that some of the trash along Quarry Road, and there's quite a lot of it in the ditch there that runs down Quarry Road, comes from truck drivers who stop by the side of the road. I see them idling out there all the time, and I expect they're eating lunch in their trucks and then throwing the trash out the window. I don't have evidence of that, but I would bet on it.
The same thing happens along South Hill Drive now, too, especially since parking's allowed there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So one of the other things about the Adopt-A-Spot that I think would be really cool is that if it wasn't just picking up trash, but actually proactively, there's some areas that you can't actually pick up the trash so much as you could advocate for the trash not to get there in the first place. So as an example, where I really, kind of pressed hard on Ecology for a while to get Beatty Avenue clean and to work on cleaning the areas where their trucks are, and constantly sending them pictures of their trucks with the bins open going onto the freeway and, garbage going out or whatever. And sometimes the Adopt-A-Spot is more like a media campaign as well, where people actually take pride in keeping a particular spot clean, and that it's partly education and not just picking up trash. Like, for instance, if you adopted a spot along the Crocker Trail, you might call Expeditors and talk to their manager, which I'm supposed to do, and tell them to have their people who blow the trash out of their parking lot pick it up.
Yeah.
Or like we talked to the people at Williams-Sonoma when we were picking up trash and said, well, who should we talk to? You have all this trash in the back of your parking lot that's caught by the fence and really it shouldn't be there. And lo and behold, they came and picked it up. It's gone. So, sometimes it's just outreaching. So Adopt-A-Spot doesn't necessarily mean go pick up the garbage.
Yeah, I was
It's a mixture of education and pickup.
It is.
Yeah.
But like, say you adopt, the one of the areas we're walking to school.
Yeah.
Well, you instead of going and picking up the trash, you'd go and lecture to the students about not dropping the trash. I'm just thinking, because it's going to take a lot more than just people picking up trash. It's going to take education about picking up trash and not throwing it down.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, and I heard a great story. I don't know if you guys will all know this one already. Don't Mess with Texas. Do you know where that came from or why it was started?
Mm-mm.
It's actually a trash campaign.
Was that Lady Bird Johnson?
I don't know for sure who started it, but I remember hearing that it started because of truck drivers in Texas throwing trash out their windows and people being very upset about it, and they needed a very Texas macho kind of slogan that would appeal to truck drivers, and they came up with Don't Mess with Texas, and it kind of grew beyond their wildest dreams. So I think, kind of have that kind of idea in mind. Some of the things that more of us environmentalists might think of as good messaging might not necessarily always reach the kind of people on the other side who are the root of the problem. So, but I do agree, a mix of cleanup and education will be needed, and probably could be combined in some interesting ways.
So I was just kind of thinking that I'm think it's a good time to get behind this. I haven't been that excited in the past, I guess, because I feel like people should just naturally want to keep their areas clean, but
No, that's not.
apparently not. I'm slowly shedding my naivete little by little. But what if we went beyond, if we did this adopt an area or adopt a spot? I kind of like the alliteration of adopt an area, but that's not terribly important. But like if we got the businesses that face the Crocker Park, that they could, the Crocker Trail, they could, take care of garbage, and then at some point, if maybe they are doing a good job taking care of their garbage, then we can give them a tree or some toyon or some other native thing, and they can adopt that and water that and actually be instrumental in not just cleaning up, but improving and adding to their habitat, and really take like a positive ownership role.
How are you thinking that we would get businesses to do this?
Well, I mean, hopefully they just would, right? If we can get them to sign on to the Adopt a Block program, and they can adopt the part of the trail that backs their
Okay.
business.
And then if they were successful and became really, then we would present them a tree as a thanks.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But we could present them with a tree, and then once they prove that they can actually like keep
Do it.
things going enough to pick up garbage, then we can give them a tree. They could give them some kind of like, I was thinking like a toyon or something, native shrubby thing, and then they can water it and actually change the scenery.
I get the feeling those are actually two different kinds of things. I mean, there are individual people who might volunteer for a spot,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see why we couldn't write to all the businesses and encourage them to adopt their backyards and then offer them something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
About
just what I was saying.
Offering not to cite them for littering.
Yeah.
Sorry. Kind of
That's
like a little bit like
that's
this,
a good
right?
start, either you pay a fine or you keep it clean and you get a tree. Stick and carrot.
I guess it's not. This isn't necessarily something we could incentivize, but I saw a thing that was like a business near a beach that was doing free cup of coffee if you filled up. If you like, they had bags that you could go fill up with garbage, and then if you brought back a full bag of garbage, then it'd give you a free cup of
I
coffee.
think Madhouse would go for that one.
I like that.
We could have like a special like certification if you said you are a business that gives people free things for picking up trash.
A lot of our businesses, unfortunately, are not businesses that would have anything to give away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think incentivizing them somehow is a good idea. I'm just wondering, speaking of enforcement, does anybody from the city ever go around and look at businesses' backyards? I mean, it wouldn't have to happen all the time, but maybe like once a year, because they're not supposed to litter, right? Isn't there some city ordinance that says?
Yeah, I mean, there's
supposed to pick
already
up their
litter
trash?
ordinances.
And there's a state law about littering, too.
It's like a $500 fine.
Well, state law would be state enforced.
Mandated.
And it's probably mostly on CHP. My understanding, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but code enforcement is somewhat driven by
Complaint driven.
AdoptAHighway can complain about enforcement.
Could the Open Space
Adopt
and
the
Ecology
spotters.
Committee officially complain that businesses aren't doing enough to keep up their trash and request that the city try an occasional spot patrol and maybe just send a letter to violators and say, we want you to be a good city citizen and don't do this?
Yeah, we can ask. I mean, I think we're talking about education being part of this program, so figuring out
I realize, the city doesn't have a huge amount of staff time, but it seems like you could probably cover, if you were driving a truck, you could probably cover most of the businesses in the industrial park in half a day and just see who are the bad guys.
How well attended are the Chamber of Commerce meetings? Do you know?
Are you talking about the board meetings?
No, I mean the meetings where members show up.
Like the mixers, you mean?
Don't they have a lunch every month or something like that?
Or a cocktail thing somewhere.
I'm not aware of any lunch, at least not yet. I did go to their holiday mixer in December for a little while, and it seemed like there was a pretty good crowd there. I was actually planning to go to the one they were supposed to have at Mamma Mia last week, and then they postponed it due to the rain, and it falls on the same day as our Bosco landscape class, so I won't be able to be there. But April 18th, if anybody doesn't want to come to the landscape class, and I believe they're open to the public.
Well, I was just thinking that maybe we could plan the next time they have a gathering at some place where it's inappropriate, we could do a presentation about trash and rats.
We could do
And
it
if
all
they
at
picked up
once.
their trash, maybe they wouldn't have rats. I mean, seriously, you talk about education.
Yeah, what is the green business? That I was going to talk about it in staff updates, but the county green business coordinator asked about leads to try to get more participation in the green business program, and so we kind of passed her question on to Mitch Bull, and I was thinking a mixer, but he's having her come to a board meeting to talk, because the mixers are kind of, they do a couple announcements, but they don't do presentations of any length,
How many people attend the board meetings?
I don't know.
Oh, and you're supposed to let me know which one she's going to, because I wanted to specifically attend that one as well, since I'm a certified green business here in Brisbane.
I don't think we've gotten confirmation if she's going to make it to April or not, so
Okay, just be sure to not forget to keep me in the loop.
yeah, so that's a tough one. We'll have to ask. what might be appropriate, you know.
Yeah, please do, because one of us could come and give a presentation about just, issues of concern, including trash, rat poison. Announce this Adopt a Spot plan if we're going to go ahead with that.
So, before code enforcement gets involved, when the irrigation, there was an outreach program before we had to do enforcement, and almost everybody was like, "Oh, sure, we'll cut down watering," and then afterwards, the infractions were usually a broken sprinkler head and that kind of thing. So, I think a campaign first, and then approaching them in a positive light and see if that works
Yeah, I agree.
before
Yeah.
threatening enforcement action might be a way to get buy-in.
Absolutely.
It was just super time-consuming a little bit, but response was pretty good with the drought. So
Great. Well, let's try that. It's city staff time, so.
So in terms of a program, we kind of imagined pickers and bags, and that I hadn't thought about vests, but I guess if your area is somewhere where there's traffic, a vest comes with it, and having them use the SR system to say, I've got a bag that needs to be picked up, bright orange bags that it's too heavy, Public Works can pick up what they've got. But how does the committee feel about signs? Do we want a sign that identifies, because that's kind of part of the reward, is that you've got the sign that has your name or your business name. Or
It depends on whether there's going to be a place to put it. I mean, usually on the highway, it'll say, this mile is taken care of by the Jones family or something like that. But those signs are pretty expensive. What sort of signage did you have in mind?
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking it's like an aluminum sign, something that's
Can we afford that?
reasonable.
I think that in the interest of the environment,
We shouldn't be putting signs up.
yeah, I think it'd be much better just to give them recognition in the star.
Right, so there are other ways to do it,
Yeah.
like a listing that we could publish, or
I mean,
Yeah.
even those fabulous bird signs that we put on the bridge. I mean, I went and saw every one of them when we first put them up, and they're beautiful, but they've already faded, and mostly what they're used for is by the birds.
Yeah, I gotta say, somebody designed those at a bad angle.
The birds love them.
Yep.
And so you actually get to see the birds instead of the signs. But I'm just saying that I think we would have signs all over the place, and that would just be awful.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
signs.
I don't even like the ones that are along the highway, but those are businesses that are legitimately using that as an advertising medium.
So, speaking of recognition, we used to have something called the Brisbane Star Award. And when I first joined this committee, the city was giving, seems like maybe a half dozen to a dozen of those per year. And it was just like a nice little certificate. I still have mine. And I think they were, people who got the awards were recognized in public at some point, like at the Christmas party or some other festive venue.
Didn't we just have a star award? Oh, no, that was the holiday star thing.
Yeah, that's different.
Totally different.
So
There
this
always
was,
are crayons.
these were given for various things.
yeah, I
service
remember it's
things.
Park and Rec Commission and Staff Program. It wasn't an OSEC, and it wasn't at the Christmas, because that's actually kind of an employee appreciation event. They had their own Star Award night.
Even better.
With the Volunteer of the Year, I think, together.
Yeah, but they don't do it that way anymore.
No.
No.
So I don't know what's happened to the Star Awards, but it's not an OSEC. It's always been a Park and Rec function.
Yeah.
Well, right. I didn't get it from OSEC, but I got it for OSEC. So Park and Rec was giving them out to people who did various things for the city. And so I just wonder, that seems like it would be a good way to recognize volunteers, and it couldn't have cost that much money, and make people feel good. So do we need to talk to Park and Rec about reconstituting that, or what?
Why was it dropped? Was there a reason?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I
I guess that's the first question: is why'd we quit?
Why'd they quit? Well, I think we figure out what our program is, and if they are doing that or planning to continue it, it does seem logical to fold it together. But if not, we can try to find we can do it here.
Yeah.
We could try to do our own recognitions if this is going to be our program. You know?
I was just looking, and you can buy a small printed aluminum sign on eBay for like $20. So, I mean, I don't want to be Sign City, but if it was really important for businesses to have some like little thing on their back fence, you know, little like, I don't know,
They're on
6 by 10
Trail.
on their back fence that says this part of the trail is cleaned by,
I would be okay with that.
you know, as long as it's small and understated. I think I would actually be okay with it as long as it gets them to clean up.
And it would give them some incentive, maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe it depends on where it is.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
how
and
big it is.
Business that is adopting
Yeah.
a whole
Yeah.
street section
Of
you know.
the park or something. The Crocker
Right.
Park Trail.
What? Say that again?
If it's a business who's,
Then it makes sense to have a sign, you're saying.
yeah, but not obtrusively.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look, we haven't even been able to get a sign out there at the freeway off-ramp that says no littering.
Yeah, let me order one
And
off of
so,
eBay.
You know, I'm kind of a little bit not happy about us talking about giving signs out for, you know, we should have a sign out there that says no littering. And I've been asking for it for over 2.5 years.
I
Yes,
still
you
want a
have,
trash
Michelle. I
barrel on
remember
Quarry
this.
Road. I still want a trash barrel on Quarry Road.
Well, we had that for a brief time, you know, and so I'm not a big fan of putting all these signs out. Police should put a no littering sign. I'm sorry, I'm in a cranky mood, obviously. but
Why
those people just come off the freeway and talk on their cell phone and dump their garbage and dump their pee bags and dump their trucking stuff and drive off. And we don't even have a sign that says no littering.
They're too busy reading their phones to pay attention to that. So
Well, at least if we had a sign, then they could be ticketed.
So we can't ticket them if they don't have a sign?
I don't know. I
I think it does have to be posted, but
So committee, let's figure out a plan of action here. So Adrian is going to check with the county.
Yeah.
And report back to us at the next meeting. And if everything is go, then we need to figure out how to publicize this to volunteers. Nextdoor is one way. City Facebook is another way.
Luminary, you know, is
Luminary,
another way.
Star, all that. And see if we get any takers.
And do adopt an
So
area.
should I make a motion that we move forward with Adopt a Spot?
Yeah. Or
I
adopt
did
something.
want to make sure that we clarified the naming because I heard a couple of differing opinions. So I think that's something that maybe
To be discussed.
could be hopefully decided. But
How many want Adopt a Spot? Okay, Barbara, it looks like
I'm in the minority for adopt an area. That's fine.
This just doesn't sound very alliterative
Adopt
to
a
me.
spot just kind of has like a ring to it. I don't know.
Yeah, like don't mess with Texas.
Yeah.
I was for area too, but it's
That's okay.
You are.
spot is
Adopt an
more
area is
specific, I
okay.
guess.
It
Also
means-
for area.
You are?
I'm not on the committee.
Okay, good. We win. Spot wins.
Here's a no dumping or littering sign. Violators will be prosecuted. $20 on eBay.
There you go.
Go buy one.
Can we have one? The city put it up? It costs us $200 to have it put up. You're so funny.
I'll get my post hole diggers out and put it up myself.
But I like this, and I'd also like to use it for Day in the Park because I don't know what we would do this year, and we'll talk about that later anyway because that's. Yeah.
So,
I don't
so
think-
what do we want to do as far as businesses are concerned? Do we want to start by sending them a letter? Do we just want to send? I think city staff should just cruise and see who's misbehaving. What do you think?
oh, in terms of trying to get them to just not.
I have an idea.
litter.
Let's have city staff cruise and see who's misbehaving. Then send the nice letter saying, please clean up your areas. And then cruise again and see if we had a response. Sorry, it's the direct marketer in me. See whether people responded to the nice letter. And then if they didn't, we send out the enforcement officer.
What about the whole recognition for keeping your area clean thing?
Well, let's see how it goes with getting them to do it first.
But the recognition is going to be part of getting them to do it.
No, they should just do it because it's morally the right thing to do.
Mm.
And then we can recognize them afterwards for being good.
be morally.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I understand incentives and everything, but I don't really want to pat some large business on the head for keeping their trash cleaned up.
Yeah, I don't either. Not until they've done it consistently above and beyond, and then we can say, wow, and here's an exemplary company that we want to showcase. You know, reward afterwards.
Are the signs on the highways usually just they volunteer to clean it up, or the businesses kind of pay to help get supplies for volunteers?
Not sure how the AdoptAHighway program works. I haven't.
You know, Karen, how AdoptAHighway works exactly?
No, but I feel like at some point far in the past, someone did adopt a section of Bayshore. Did we ever have a sign on Bayshore?
Yeah.
The chamber?
Somebody did. I don't know if they help fund the prisoners that come along and do the cleanup or what.
I remember that. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that you do actually pay for AdoptAHighway. I quick Google search of "do you pay to AdoptAHighway" says first result is an ad sponsor AdoptAHighway, cost-effective outdoor marketing on our nation's busiest highway.
I guess so.
So seems like they're definitely paying for it.
But in this case, I think we were hoping to fund what I was talking about, the picker, bags,
Yeah.
maybe a vest, and if a sign is what we decide for what's appropriate, that it would be paid for, that you would just be doing the work, you wouldn't have to.
Maybe the county will help. I mean, if they have.
I mean, they've got this Adopt a Block. It says free supplies, gloves,
Right.
vests, trash bags in the mail.
Oh, gloves too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But that's kind of like more targeted towards individuals, right?
Right.
Versus if it were a business, it could be something that they would kind of donate towards it, and then it would be less of like pat on the back, right? It would be more like they're actually funding beyond just their area.
Yes.
Possibly.
And
Yeah.
maybe they would even have a volunteer day of their employees to go out and work an area. So I think we're talking to kind of two types or two channels of a program here.
Mhm.
One is the one that where we work with businesses, and the other is where we work with individual people who are willing to adopt a spot.
What about we start with the city just sending staff out there to see what's going on, letter to problem businesses, and then maybe work with the chamber to figure out how to get business, some business to do more.
Yeah. That seems fine. I think I was also, I was thinking about this coming from the perspective of individuals adopting a spot. That
That's what I said. We have two things. We have individuals
Right.
adopting a spot, and then we have our business outreach.
so I think we'll still promote that.
Both.
Both.
Right.
Right. What about the idea of educational posters around town, considering, the educational side of this? Show people what their trash does.
I like that.
sure.
Do we have a budget that would allow us to do that?
Well, you guys have a little special projects budget every year that funds something like that. I think it sounds like something for the
That'd be a good one.
Education and Outreach Subcommittee, like in terms of having
Yeah.
a message and.
What that message would be. And we could use it a day in the park too.
Yeah, I recently
Use it
got
a lot of
a
different
cute
places.
little sign printed at Office Depot for $20 or 15, I think it was.
Each?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm willing to do the artwork if somebody, kind of sends me what they want and
An idea.
let's see.
Okay. Well, Megan, you and I should get together
Yes.
because I think we're the education
I think
subcommittee
we are.
and figure
Right.
that out.
Okay.
Well, let's hold that idea for a minute. Barbara, going back to your offer to make artwork, I'm wondering if perhaps we don't want to be thinking about artwork for the Adopt a Spot program. I mean, if you look at the Keep Australia Beautiful Adopt a Spot, they're really kind of putting that hand in hand with a nice graphic. Keep it clean, adopt this area. So I think we could use some nice artwork for something like that, and whether it goes on a sign or just gets used in other marketing promotional
Sure.
materials.
Yeah.
If it's
I mean, everybody kind of likes that, so maybe I'll kind of go off of that.
The other thing too is, you know how when they want you to adopt a pet, or they want you to adopt or pay, donate to Humane Society and stuff, they put a picture of like some, sad big-eyed cat or dog or something. Maybe we could put pictures of garbage from around town and show people.
Or like you said before, what Glenn was saying before, like a turtle, or I mean, you hate to do something that's not here local.
Yeah, well, I see enough of that online.
Yeah.
Okay, but to make it like here, and then you show it going into the,
Make it more personal.
yeah, make it more local, personal.
Yeah.
So they realize it ends up in our
That's-
lagoon, our beach,
Oh, okay.
our animals.
So showing pictures of literally Brisbane.
Yeah, yeah.
I just would. Am I on? Okay. I've seen some interesting kind of studies and reviews of some of those marketing pieces, and they actually, in many cases, turn people off, or
Well, we're not
don't.
going to put puppies or kittens on them.
I mean, when I see that commercial with the like sad abused dogs, I turn it off.
I can't look at it either.
So I, just kind of going back to my Texas, don't mess with Texas. Like, I think we should maybe think a little bit about what exactly we want that messaging to be that's going to be most effective. And, I get emotional over those images too, but we want to make sure that we're reaching the audience that is the problem here, and they may not necessarily be responding to those, or they probably wouldn't be throwing the trash out the window in the first place, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, who does litter? I mean, I kind of imagine some creature with 3 heads, but in the real world, who does litter?
I think
don't
some
know.
of it is
What is our
kids.
target audience?
I think some of it is kids.
Some of it's kids.
I see kids sit on the wall outside the library a lot, and there's trash
Well, there's
left there.
school, so we can educate in the school.
There's school, so we can educate there.
I've seen people just do it out of their car.
That's when I just don't understand.
That's the one that just makes me insane.
One slogan I always kind of liked is, "Your mother doesn't live here. Pick up after yourself."
Except in a lot of cases, their mother does live here.
It's California.
No,
You
but
have to live
in
with
the
mothers.
exact spot where the sign is.
Snarky.
No, they just
We used to have those signs up in the student room
is
at
snarky.
school because it was always being trashed.
Yeah.
And I think it helped, and it was it was kind of a light touch sort of thing, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Softer. Yeah.
Are there garbage cans that are easier to put trash into from the car? Like, because I've seen pictures of ones in Netherlands, because they bike a lot. They have garbage cans made for people to throw stuff in while they're biking.
That is
I wonder if there's that for cars.
85-mile-an-hour drive-by.
Maybe not on the highway.
You know, we're laughing, but maybe that's what it takes.
I mean, it's true. It makes me crazy because I went round and round with Ecology about this when I was on my little rant every day about the garbage along the route getting onto the freeway. And they're like, well, that's garbage that's coming from people throwing it out the car. And I said, no, let's go look at the garbage. If you look at it, it's household garbage. People don't go along and throw out their Clorox bottle, all right? That's stuff that's coming out of your trucks. Here's a picture of it coming out of your truck. Now, here's a McDonald's wrapper. That's coming from somebody's car. If you examine the garbage, you can see where it's coming from and by what type of garbage it is. Is it snack wrappers? Is it Swishers? Is it straws? Is it lunch packaging? Is it household garbage? Is it industrial garbage? Is it the wires from the guys who worked on the line and just rolled them up and dropped them on the ground? We found a lot of that. Okay, so you can examine the garbage in particular areas and
We'll know who our culprits are.
yeah, just like
Or
an
a target market.
anthropologist, you kind of know where it's coming from. What's the source? And once I pointed that out to them and they went out and actually looked at the garbage that they were picking up, guess what?
And they had to take responsibility.
They did take responsibility. They were very good about it.
Yeah, good.
They have people who pick up along Beatty all the time now.
I was just saying that we had a staff member come to a meeting, it might have been a couple years ago, when he talked about the trash capture devices in the storm drainage, Keegan
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So maybe inviting him back to talk about,
What they're finding.
right.
That'd be
That would be
awesome.
very
That would
interesting.
be
Very
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
'Cause-
I'm excited.
yeah. Because if you know what you're finding and you photograph what you're finding and you can see what happens to your potato chip bag when you just let it blow out of the car, you just drop it
Yeah.
on the ground.
That makes it more personal.
Much more personal. You do a beach cleanup, it gets really personal.
Okay, well, let's get together and figure out some strategies, and we'll run them by the committee next time.
Okay,
So I think we're ready to move on.
move on.
So before we dive into this meeting, I wanted to kind of plant a seed. We don't want to do this at this meeting necessarily because we're going to have at least one more new member next month, we expect. But with new members, we may want to be making some additions or revisions to these
Committees.
subcommittees. If we have 6 members, we can't have more than 3 members on any subcommittee.
Okay.
So do be thinking of which ones you're really excited about staying involved with or getting involved with. And if there are others that maybe you're on and you would like to allow somebody new to take up that seat, kind of think about that. And hopefully next month we can kind of start to dive into that more.
Good plan.
Yeah, because I feel like my name's on here 4 times, and then I went, well, Megan's name's on here 5 times. That's too many for any one person. And
So we can do that next week.
Well, it also kind of depends on how much they meet and
yeah,
Well, and also because we knew we were losing people, so they didn't join, and then we
Right.
had things that need to be
Right.
done.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
And
Okay.
just, we'll probably do this again because we'll have more members, but
Yeah.
just to quickly talk about what they are for our new member. The open space subcommittee, we combined a couple of things that we're trying to work on. So there was an open space plan developed 17 years ago, and it prioritized properties that the city wanted to purchase and preserve as open space, and I guess the city had already purchased a few, but was kind of doing an ad hoc kind of thing. So the areas were studied for their habitat value and their environmental value and their waterways and trails and ridge lines, the butterflies that are helpful for their habitat. And the city bought quite a bit of area in what is called the Brisbane Acres at the top of the mountain. And I'm not sure how, tell me if I'm going too deep into the weeds on this. Kind of at the top of central Brisbane, and we probably own 2/3, 3/4 of what's in the city limits in the upper Brisbane Acres,
about half.
half to 2/3.
Yeah.
And they've been prioritized, the ones that we should give you a copy of that plan, actually. Maybe we'll do that next meeting. And then there are other areas in the city that have those same values that are not in the acres, so, God, off the top of my head,
Peking,
Long
Handicap,
Bayshore, Levinson, Marsh,
Mm-hmm.
and where else? Oh, for the sake of discussion, there are priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking at reevaluating that because it's been 17 years, and whether there are other areas that we should include or a second tier of priorities. So there's a subcommittee that's going to work on that. And then I think we've done what we need to do on preserving the acres. We've decided that we're going to put a declaration of restrictions on those city properties because right now the city owns them, but they're not, and they desire to keep them as open space, but they're not required to, other than some of them were purchased with a coastal conservancy grant that does limit what we could do with them. So the city attorney is going to bring forth a declaration of restrictions, so that's what that one is.
And you'll let us know before that goes to council, right?
Yeah, I think it's on his list of things to do at this point. And then we adopted a climate action plan, and a lot of agencies have done that, and almost everyone in San Mateo County setting greenhouse gas emission goals for 2020. When we have a subcommittee that meets very actively, at least once a month, working on drafting and putting together measures that we want to adopt And we will look at updating that plan in the next year or two and setting new goals for 2030. And does anybody else want to jump in on events?
Well,
Sure. So the events, the Day in the Park is citywide. I don't know if you went to that. It would have been when you just moved here, maybe. Or anyway, so it's a lot of the city comes out and have different booths, and OSEC has a booth. And the Habitat Restoration Days, there's one coming up on Earth Day, and that's an ongoing tradition. So this year there's an extra planting day, but it's usually 3 cleanup kind of restoration days, and pulling invasive weeds for 2 of them generally, and then a lagoon cleanup with trash. And so with the addition of the planting day, we might do that again next winter. So it's 3 to 4 days a year that OSEC organizes with the help of Parks and Rec.
And then education outreach hasn't been actively, well, I take that back, I guess. A couple of people, you guys have been working actively on what we have at the library. So we've got an area reserved at the library that we put
Speaking of which, we need to get back to that, Megan.
Okay.
It's time.
environmental and open space materials
Yeah.
for people to use, check out, and look at. But we're also, you guys give feedback to staff on how we publicize stuff that we're doing. And we have a sustainability webpage on the city website that we want to improve because it's kind of buried and some of the material's out of date. And then we also talk a lot about how to get the message out about the waste stream and composting and recycling and doing it well, residents and businesses. And then we have another committee for an invasive species ordinance, so that's again about protecting the butterfly habitat and may or
just
may
protecting the habitat in general.
habitat in general, may or may not be focused in residential areas on borders to those habitat areas. We're still, that's pretty in its early stages. We're looking at what anybody else may have done regarding managing invasive species, and partially because the committee oversees how we maintain that open space I talked about in the beginning, and annually approves a vegetation management plan. So we go out and maintain those properties that we own, and then in somebody else's acre there's broom growing everywhere, or fennel, and just in a little island. So maybe something should be done about that, is kind of the concept. And then this is a kind of a pet project of the committee with Park and Rec is, if you'd seen at Christmas, the decorated tree in the community park is looking a little unhealthy, so we've been talking about what to plant something else and where. So that's kind of maybe near and dear to people that have lived here quite a bit longer, that particular one. And Lippman Science Fair, annually we've gone to the science fair and given our own award for a project that has a sustainability focus, or used recyclable materials or green materials in their science fair project, and the kids seem to respond really well to that. That's always fun. And then PCA stands for Priority Conservation Areas. So a year or two ago, we applied to the Association of Bay Area Governments to designate our part of San Bruno Mountain and County Park, together with the county and South San Francisco, as a priority conservation area, which qualifies us to apply for grants. And their ABAG is going to release that grant application any time now. So we're going to put together
A grant.
a grant application. As soon as we hear, we're going to apply for something. So that's what that committee is. Anybody want to add anything? Did I do okay?
Yeah, what day is Day in the Park? It's not on the calendar, the date.
They always make it, except for the one year, the first Saturday in October.
Is it this year? I don't want to be caught by surprise.
I don't know yet, but we'll find out for you.
Okay.
If they already have it, I would imagine.
Yeah. And
That would be the 6th.
I intended to go to the Parks and Recreation Committee to raise our concerns about the layout of Day in the Park, but I didn't get to go to that meeting. So do you know when their next meeting is?
They meet, I think they meet on the second Wednesday, because we used to have the third Wednesday, and that's not a conflict. So I'm pretty sure they're the second Wednesday of the month.
They just meet once a month.
The full commission. Oh, you're talking about a subcommittee?
Well, no, I wanted to meet with the full commission.
commission.
I can meet with the subcommittee, but I'd rather just meet with the full commission and say, hey,
Hello. We
We're
had
not
not
happy.
anybody even.
Second Wednesday of every month.
yeah, it was
Second Wednesday of each month.
second Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, we really got to get back in. I mean, as part of the city, part of
Yeah.
the event. We're not even a part of the event over there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, we were a day next to the park.
Next to the park. Sorry.
Okay.
So, this month seemed kind of quick. Each of us had a pretty bad cold at different times. I think Adrian gave it to me, and then I gave it to Bob.
I think
Probably.
you gave it to me first.
We're
However,
going to have to separate you guys?
yeah. So I don't think we've made a ton of progress on many of the items on the subcommittee list. The CAP subcommittee did meet once since our last meeting.
Yeah.
We're meeting next week.
So we're still grinding away on our building energy disclosure ordinance.
Yep. You were gonna try and get that like Excel or spreadsheet to us. What's that?
It is in the works. In fact, it should be coming to you hopefully soon, Monday at the latest. I have a couple of long meetings the next couple of days, but it's drafted and waiting for looking
Good.
over.
Great, thank you.
But it'll be on its way to you.
That should help a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are the council liaisons coming to the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
The April meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we, is there any chance that you have the list with you that we're supposed to go over with the council liaisons? Just, I'd really like to
Do it before we have a.
hear it, which would be like now.
Yeah.
We have the work plan. Well, I don't know that. I don't think we have it here.
Okay.
But we've got a few other things that have come up over the year.
Bike to work day. We could choose our anybody want to volunteer for bike to work day?
Hold on a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Can we just think about it for a minute, just to be sure we've got anything? We want to talk to them about the building energy ordinance and say that we've kind of switched gears and are starting with commercial buildings instead of residential. We want to talk to them about, we want to ask them how they would feel about a rat poison ordinance and probably an invasive species ordinance
And don't forget the lighting ordinance.
and a lighting ordinance.
Yeah, those are all on our work plan. Those are on, not the rat.
Not the rats, okay. Is there anything else that anybody can think of that we ought to bring
Yeah.
up with the council liaisons? I just wanted a little prep for that.
The anti-littering sign.
I mean, we just have a whole bunch of stuff pending with them, like the we did the lot area coverage
Yep.
and
Yeah,
So we asked about those things.
landscaping tree ordinance.
I can't even remember what all we've just
That's what I'm trying
Okay.
to, that's why I brought this up.
Yeah.
Here we go. The landscaping, the tree ordinance, they wanted the planning staff to make a first revision on that. And we had a staff meeting, so we shared everything that was in the letter and the background. And all
Okay.
that. So they asked planning staff who managed the tree removal permit process to bring forward.
Okay. So we don't really need to talk to them about that then, it doesn't sound like.
I mean, you can as time permits or as it feels right, you can reiterate what
I think so.
Okay.
interest in that. And the landscaping coverage, they really liked the benefits analysis. They wanted us to bring it to the full council. The after the property, so the committee, for Claire, the committee drafted a letter to the council a while back asking
2-3
that-
years ago.
asking that people not put an impervious surface on all of their open space in their lots. So the letter was kind of, the concept was, after you build your house within the zoning regulations to whatever lot coverage, and you put in your access, which would be your driveway or walkway or whatever, all that's got to be doesn't have to be, but it's likely impervious, that half of the remaining area be landscaped. Pretty simple idea. So they kind of liked what we'd done, the liaisons, and they said that was ready to bring to the full council. They recommended we bring it to the full council.
Great.
But there was the one about the interior courtyards.
And that one, again, I'm still hearing that they want to look at the Brisbane acre zoning regulations as a whole and not that one item. And that I think now that they've gotten through the Baylands, they are getting freed up to,
They're not through the Bayland.
well, the
Not yet.
planning staff, or when they are. That's when they kind of are going to tackle that as a whole. So that's why they haven't addressed that particular thing that we've brought to them. But they remember, and we can reiterate that at our meeting.
Okay.
Put that on the list.
And our liaisons again are,
They are Terry O'Connell and Karen Cunningham.
okay.
And then there was the Levinson Peking handicraft, and it was just a letter that said, didn't just say, but essentially said the city should buy this. This property is important. So my notes are a little outlining, but they wanted us to recraft and resubmit that letter. So how do we prioritize that with regard to other properties? How, I don't know if they asked us how to fund, but you know, if we applied for this priority conservation area grant, might we look at that? Might we look at something else? Excuse me.
Well, we should probably talk about that at the next meeting, shouldn't we?
Like I said, we've all kind of gotten sick, and I was gone for a week, and so some of this stuff we have to bring back, and it wouldn't hurt to have you guys also have that talk with the liaisons, and we get into it deeper, you know. We were hoping they were going to be at this meeting, but Terry had a conflict they couldn't schedule.
Okay. Well, thanks. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
Oh. I think we covered most of it. Yeah, but
I did find a copy of the work plan for this year, so that's what the council liaisons have seen as well.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'm just concerned about only going off of that because there's a bunch of stuff that we've ostensibly completed, but we're still waiting to see what their thoughts are about it. So I just don't want to be limited to the work plan in terms of our questions.
We're not.
Okay, good.
yeah, I mean, that was a starting place.
Okay.
If there are
Okay,
other things that you don't see on the work plan or we haven't already mentioned,
Okay, I'll try.
that would be, you know.
Good, yeah.
we'll go through old minutes too, because I know there were a few times that I said that'd be a good thing to ask the liaisons when they come to the meeting. So I'll pull those up.
Okay. Great. So are we ready to discuss Bike to Work Day?
I am.
Okay.
I'm ready to go home.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's finish up here. So we need to pick some volunteers.
We know what day it is yet?
Barbara, maybe you could explain to Claire what's involved in volunteering for Bike to Work Day?
Okay, so Bike to Work Day is usually a pretty fun thing. It's one day a year. We have 2 stations here in town that are funded by. Oh, who is it again? It's not the city of Brisbane, but it's something.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So, and then you just get up really early in the morning and you go and you hand out goodies at the station. And most people bring, like, kind of bake sale goodies or fruit or whatever to, also to give the bikers. And you just get to go.
Where do the goods come from?
Whoever sponsors the event.
Okay.
I can't
Remember.
I'm blanking. I'm sorry. I'm getting a headache and a sore throat, and I'm
Sorry.
not going to last much longer here.
Sorry, and then
And I can't think.
Parks and Rec staff is
Yeah.
the
But there's some
Sure.
like Bay Area move or something that I don't know.
Right. It's
Bay Area-
Bay Area move.
Isn't it the Bike Coalition?
Maybe it's the Bike Coalition. Maybe I think there's multiple sponsors. Anyway, you just get up really early and you go and hand out stuff.
I mean, are you familiar with
And
Bike
dress
to Work
warm.
Day? Yeah, so we have typically we've had 2 Energizer stations just in the morning, and They're open from either 6 or 6:30 to 9:30, I think. So, and OSEC members have typically participated. At least one or two members have gone out and then reported back to us on if we haven't got a report from staff, how many people pass through. And there are a lot of cyclists come from San Francisco and go south too. You're familiar, yeah. So we've gotten like numbers in the like hundreds.
Yeah.
Okay, Google says it's May 10th.
Yeah, it's
And
May 10th.
so
It
does
says,
the
the calendar says May 10th too, huh?
Okay, good.
Right, we're just choosing the people.
Okay.
So who would like to volunteer this year?
I like to do it. Let me just make sure I don't have a
Barbara?
conflict.
Anybody else?
I wouldn't mind doing it. I can't guarantee I'll be in town with my new job because I usually leave Wednesdays. I have a feeling I'm not going to be here that day.
Mm.
I usually don't know till 2 weeks out.
We could put you on there provisionally, I imagine.
I'll be on there provisionally for sure.
Okay.
And then I'll just, as soon as I find out, I'll let you guys know, and then maybe somebody else can pick up.
All right.
And in some years in the past, we've tried to do a thing where I put up an easel with a map of the kind of the focused in on the Bay Area, and then people could mark their commutes if they wanted. Because some of these crazy people bike from like Marin to Palo Alto.
Whoa.
And they're crazy, and I admire them so much. It's just really fun to see the map at the end of the morning, see who's all kind of gone where. And if we want to do that, then I need to get an easel. But we can talk about that next meeting, and a map and stuff.
Okay. So put up Earth Day flags. We don't really need to do anything about that, do we? We have them, and they'll just get put up.
Awesome. I love it when things just happen.
Okay, chair and committee member matters. We've gone through that mostly when we talked about the charts. So does anybody have anything else that they need to sound off about?
And this is a place, if Claire is not familiar, that committee members could bring up an item of concern and the full committee could decide whether to agendize something and talk about it more in depth at another meeting. Because we do have to follow the Brown Act to agendize matters that the committee's going to make a decision on. And for a citizen advisory committee to council, we have a small budget, so a lot of times we are asking council to do something, but to some degree within our budget that's what your staff helps you with, what we can do on our own and what we need to take to council. So particular bring up items like I'd really like us to talk about and think about in the future.
So that would be the time to do it now, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
Knows what the purpose of that item is.
So
You
I
have
would,
something?
I'd really like us to consider removing the ivy from Upper Sierra Point Road Canyon. Like the canyon, you know where the Sierra Point Canyon is? Mm-hmm. Well, if you go up to the top of that and then cross Humboldt, that canyon that goes on between Humboldt and Kings is completely ivy infested.
That sounds like a Habitat Restoration Day type
No,
thing.
it's beyond that.
Is there a trail? Is it walkable?
It's completely
Covered.
covered, and we will lose the trees in that canyon if we do not at least get the ivy off the trees. It's just run rampant
Yeah,
through
it's
that
pretty
canyon.
bad, that whole
It
canyon.
is really bad.
Are there native trees or?
Oh yes, they are native trees.
So are we
They're
talking
all
about,
native trees.
Are we talking about hiring somebody?
Yeah, we are. At this point, the canyon is in such poor shape
bad.
that you can't even do habitat. You wouldn't even be able to host a habitat day there.
Plus it's straight up and down.
It's pretty steep, but we have some really ancient trees in that canyon, and they are, the ivy's growing now all the way up in the tree. It really needs some serious attention. So I'm bringing it to the committee to, and someone brought it up to me because they saw the work that was done at the top of Costañas Canyon, and they said, "Oh, that's amazing! Now can you do the next canyon over?"
Yeah.
Which is that canyon.
That's probably one we're going to have to ask for.
Could you
Yeah.
put it on our list of things to ask for next month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I think it just,
That makes
we
sense.
don't want to lose these beautiful ancient trees. And these are ones that predate, some of these trees predate Brisbane being a city. If you go back and look at the photographic records, predate us being even a town. You know, they're there before there was anything even built in Brisbane in these upper canyons. And this one is just ravaged by ivy. And then I also just wanted to make a couple comments. One is that I have, since the last meeting, walked the 3 canyons that we have worked on, including I happened to go by Costaños Canyon when Shelter Belt was doing their work. And I just am really, really grateful for that work that has been in those canyons. They all 3 look good. And then I walked down through First Canyon, and they all look really, really good. And then also I was really grateful that the City Public Works came and picked up all of the broom that a couple of friends came and helped, and we pulled broom along the Crocker Trail, and the city came and picked up all of the broom that we pulled. I'm sure they were surprised how much there was.
I heard something about bringing a truck.
We
Woohoo! That's why I can't walk. That's why I have to stand up soon, you guys.
Karen, is that something we need to get an estimate on before we ask the council, or do we ask them first?
Well, I don't know if our liaisons are going to be able to decide that, but now that we've kind of done Firth and Costaños, and
so successful.
a little bit was done on Lower Sierra Point Canyon, that I can give them a ballpark number
Okay.
based on having
Yeah.
done what we've done.
Yeah, I think with budgeting, we're probably looking at next year, but let's go ahead and then are there any other, I mean, like I don't have a mental inventory of canyons in town. Is Sierra Point the last one, or are there more?
Well,
Want to go after in the future? Do we need to make priorities, or?
those are we've covered some of the main channels, and the whole idea is to stop the progress of the ivy and and to save the trees.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's the next one that comes to mind as being really, really in desperate, dire need of the historical canyons. Firth, Costaños, and Sierra Point Canyon. I don't know what else to call it. It didn't have
Doesn't have a name.
We'll sign.
it was always called,
Sign.
that's
Okay.
what the sign says. You know, the upper canyon doesn't have a sign.
There was just one other thing that kind of occurred to me about when we were talking about the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
Is I was sort of like picked up my tablet and was like, I wonder if you can graft cedar trees. And you can. So that might be a good way to kind of fill in some of those bare spots if we had to kind of save the tree instead of replacing it. It's just a thought. You know, we might be able to, if we get somebody who's good at grafting, and we could take a limb off of one place where it's really dense and have it grafted onto that bare spot.
There is no place on that tree that's really dense.
Yeah, not anymore.
And we would just have the same problem. It's the wrong species of tree for that.
Really? Because I thought last time we talked about this, everybody kept saying recommending the same tree over and over again. The one we've got now.
If you go around Brisbane and look at the other trees that are that same species, you will see that they all have the same kind of problem.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah.
would we repeat? That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought when we went out and asked for recommendations, we kept still getting back Deodar cedar, Deodar cedar, Deodar cedar.
Well,
It was just like that's the only choice.
Hmm?
And I know they're not thriving here.
Yeah.
Oh, they thrive, but they don't look like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. They
They
get
thrive
really
and
sheer.
thrive, and then
What was that, Karen?
Yeah, and that's one of the things we haven't figured out yet. Then.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking it might,
Yeah.
if we were at the place where we wanted to try and save that tree rather than replace
I think
it.
that you would end up killing it faster.
Okay, maybe.
Nice idea.
Drilling into it would probably just to do the grafting would probably
Yeah.
open it up to
Disease.
more problems unless you really know.
Anything else under chair and committee member
Okay.
matters? Nope. All right. Are we ready to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I second we adjourn.
Wait.
Oh,
Oh.
what do we have to do? Oh.
Oh,
Oh, staff update. Sorry, we keep forgetting about you guys.
I thought you guys were on vacation this last month with your being ill.
Bronchitis does not count as vacation.
Yeah.
You can say that again.
Karen, do you want to go first?
Just really quickly, I was on a conference call with Peninsula Sun Shares. The program's going to go again next year. They're going to try to do a lot more with making electric vehicles or alternative fuel vehicles available, and they were asking for participation from staff that have dealerships to negotiate directly with dealerships for kind of an economy of scale price. And they're going to start earlier, do the outreach commitments and with the solar and EV. And then we met with the County Green Business Program staff and tried to come up. Then we met with Mitch Bull from the Chamber of Commerce, trying to come up with some leads for companies she could approach, because she's going to do some particular outreach. And we looked specifically at what Barbara did to get certified, and we're going to see if we can get any city facilities certified, because they do that too.
Oh, good.
And the liaisons are coming to the April meeting. I think we already talked about that. Go ahead.
And so to fill you in, Claire, there's some historic canyons in town, and then the past year, the committee recommended that the city hire a biological restoration company, so they removed a lot of invasives, and so we've done that in Firth Canyon, and then Castañas Canyon, and then Sierra Point Canyon, and so they've gotten ivy out of those three, and so anyway, that was so that's my update, is that they finished in Castañas, and then they had some time. They got a little ivy out of the lower Sierra Point, which is beneath the canyon that Michelle's talking about. The upper, there's a Humboldt Road divides. Is it Humboldt that divides the upper and lower?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with that. So that recently all just happened. So if you walk through Firth or Castañas up the trail, you'll see all the jute netting, and they had both been overrun, and now are in Firth especially, the ferns are all popping back up, and the natives are coming back on their own.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how
So
abundantly.
beautiful.
So that just all happened in the past few months.
And volunteers had taken a lot of ivy out of Castañas Canyon over multiple years and pulled it down off the trees, and had gotten as far as they could get without getting to the really steep part of the top of the canyon that really wasn't suitable to have volunteers do. And so we used the leftover funding from doing Firth Canyon, where it was also not really accessible too dangerous for volunteers to do, and used the extra money that we had left over to finish up Castañas Canyon, which is just amazing.
And in February, OSEC decided to have a volunteer planting day, which was a first, and like 40 people turned up and put over 400 native plants in the ground in Castañas. So those are all taped off right now. So if you walk up there, that's off of Plaster Way. Anyway, it's
And
you can
Humboldt.
see all that. So that's all recently done, and lots of fruits of the labor are showing up around town.
Looking good.
So, I have a couple of things. Did anybody participate in Earth Hour on Saturday?
Wait, what time was it again?
Darn.
I might have been read already.
Hour.
You might have, and yes. Caroline and I worked to put some messaging out to participate in that. Not sure how effective it was, but it was interesting. Yesterday, I was actually down at Penn TV being interviewed about our new EV charging station for the Penn Voice show. So I believe that will air next week. We'll see. I think
Very
it went
exciting.
okay. I won't want to watch it, but you all can if you'd like. I've mentioned before our San Mateo County Energy Watch grant that we have recently been awarded. We're still working on getting that officially approved, so that will be on the council's consent agenda for their April 5th meeting to kind of get that officially signed, and have already had a call to start discussing the Mission Blue audit, and our water engineer Jerry Flanagan is working on the Glen Park pump station upgrades side of things. So some cool stuff going on there. I understand this has been a long time coming. We finally got our 2014 and 2015 greenhouse gas emissions inventories, the community inventories from the countywide consultants. There were a couple of things that we had Karen and I had a call to discuss with them, a couple questions on some of the data points. So we are still waiting to hear back about that. There were some new sources that were added since 2005. So that's really one of the biggest questions, is how we compare to 2005 as our baseline if we have added new sources that we didn't include then. If you include those new sources, our emissions have decreased 3.4%, and if you just compare to the same sources, we are down 7% since then. I suspect we've seen some other stuff at county RICAPs about how those inventories will change in a very positive way once community choice energy has been incorporated. But of course, this is 2015 at the latest. So,
What were the news sources? Just curious.
I thought you might ask. Stationary sources, Caltrain and Freight Train, water and wastewater.
Oh, okay. So those were actually there before. It's just that they're now being counted.
Right. They were not included in the 2005 inventory. They were 2010 on. So it's just a matter of 2005 is what we called our baseline for the cap.
Oh, okay. So it's actually the baseline that needs to be adjusted, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're talking with the consultants about how we can address that.
Okay.
Because one idea Karen and I discussed was whether when we do a cap update, we are just, looking at a new baseline, and so we don't worry too much about it in the next little while. But we're considering some options there. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this Global Climate Action Summit that Governor Brown has called for. It'll be in San Francisco in September.
Oh, yes.
And the county, CCAG and the county sent a request to all of the cities asking us to submit a report to them of environmentally focused businesses in town and some of our achievements. And so we have... they requested us to, kind of send them a few highlights of what we've done as far as reports and plans and progress on climate reductions. So we've submitted that today because they wanted it by the end of the month. And if you are interested to keep hearing the EV stats, I have some numbers for you. It looks like that they are accelerating, if you will. So we've had... as of about 3 o'clock or so this afternoon, 377 sessions from 91 unique users. So we're averaging over 9 individual sessions per day at the charging station, 4.375 megawatt hours. So it looks like we're on a really good pace.
Great.
So, and a lot of very exciting things coming up in the next month. Of course, we have our Bosca landscape class and our Earth Day here. I will also be going up to, sooner than that, I will be going to a floods, droughts, and sea level rise county meeting on Friday. I'll be going up to Sacramento for a Green California Summit, April 9th and 10th. A CDP, formerly known as Carbon Disclosure Project, workshop in San Francisco. And the San Bruno Mountain Annual Field Day. So lots of exciting stuff coming up in the next month or so.
Great.
Adrian, I don't have a lot of time, but in general, could you, if any of those things are open to the public, could you send them to the committee? Because sometimes we do like to attend.
I
It's
will
various.
have to think about how to do that in a strategic way because there are lots of them all the time coming through, and it's
Yeah.
not always, it's kind of tough to know which ones you're already getting. I don't want to be forwarding you 6 emails a day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll-
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
think
we'll
about that.
think about that because I am on some of the lists, but I'm not obviously not on all the lists because you have listed off several that I was not aware of, and sometimes I like to go.
On many, many lists.
Yeah.
Too many, frankly. But
And how long have you been here? 5 months?
well, I have
List from your past.
lists from the past,
Lists.
and my Gmail account has existed for 14 years. So they have gotten me
they've
on
got your
many
number.
They
many
have
things
found
over
you.
the years than my personal address. So
Well, thank you very much. All right.
that was it.
Did it?
All right. Now, we have a motion to adjourn.
I think there was a motion on the table already and seconded.
All right,
Yeah.
all in favor?
I.
Aye. Thanks, everybody. See you next month.
Oh, wait, we had an audience member. Did you want to speak? Yeah. Too late.